At long last, after years of searching, it's finally here! I've reviewed the Nissan Terra, I've reviewed the Toyota Fortuner, I've reviewed the Isuzu MU-X, heck, I even reviewed the SsangYong Rexton. But now, after so many years, my collection of 7-seater pickup-based SUV reviews is finally complete! There it is! I finally found you! You're here! The Mitsubishi Montero Sport GT 4-wheel drive in its natural environment, ready to rally. Let's do this! Hello guys, I'm Reagan and we are back here at Driftwood Action Park to fully test out the top-spec Mitsubishi Montero Sport GT 4-wheel drive. Now if you're new to my channel, I want you to click that subscribe button for your regular dose of Philippine automotive content. If you're my subscriber already, well, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. But first, click that like button. Also special thanks to Mitsubishi Motors Philippines for lending me the top-spec Montero Sport GT 4-wheel drive for 1 week to do this review. The Montero Sport, or the Pajero Sport, or the Shogun Sport, well, depending on which country you're from, is the SUV brother of the Strada, or the Triton, or the L200, again, depending on which country you're from. Now, this Montero Sport, or Monty, has been a perennial bestseller here in the Philippines, but with the recent decision of Mitsubishi Philippines to drop its SRP last 2020, well, it has become an even more compelling value proposition. Now, this top-spec Montero Sport GT 4-wheel drive now has a retail price of only 2,298,000 Philippine pesos, which is 152,000 pesos lower than its original SRP. Now, that makes this a truly compelling option now, but given its platform age, well, I'd like to see what sort of features it can bring to the table and how well can it compete against the newer SUVs in its category. Now that, my friends, is what we aim to find out in my video. Now, just like its Strada brother, the Montero Sport has also received a facelift last 2019. Now, with most of the newer SUVs in its category going towards those squinty and aggressive LED headlights, well, it looks like the Monty is well ahead of its game. You see, as far back as 2019, well, it already has these squinty and aggressive looking LED headlights and LED DRLs, but the facelift also gave the Monty these lights on its cheeks, which are the turn signals, and the LED fog lights. Now, this top-spec Monty GT 4-wheel drive also comes with the headlight washers here, which is a telltale sign that this is the top-spec variant because the 4x2 Monty GT doesn't come with headlight washers. Now, when you put that together with this matte aluminum dynamic shield front grille here, well, this Montero Sport has retained that robotic and modern look to it. It definitely has aged well, guys, and it looks just as good as some of the newer SUVs in its category. Here on the side, the Montero Sport GT 4-wheel drive retains the same silhouette as the pre-facelift model, although we do get some redesigned 18-inch alloy wheels right here. Now, these wheels are in a two-tone design, which I am liking quite well because it goes with the modern and robotic vibe of this Montero Sport. Now, what I like even more is the fact that this top-spec Monty GT 4-wheel drive comes with these Toyo open country all-terrain tires straight from the dealership. So that means that you can drive one of these out of the showroom and head straight to the mountains and do some off-roading, and it would not pose an issue at all. Now, what further helps its off-roading costs is the fact that this Montero Sport also comes with a 218mm ground clearance. Plus, this, my friends, is the only stock mid-size SUV that comes with a center locking differential right here, care of Mitsubishi's Super Select 4-wheel drive 2. But it also comes with a rear locking differential, which makes it, well, the most capable stock mid-size SUV available in the Philippines today. Now, I find it quite a shame, guys, that most of the top-spec Montero Sports out there are just relegated to being mall crawlers, because as I said, this is one of the most capable stock mid-size SUV for off-roading purposes. Now, when it comes to other mechanical bits of this Monty, well, we do get 4-wheel disc brakes here, and for the suspension, we also have a double wishbone setup in the front and a 3-link coil spring suspension at the back. The rear of the Montero. Wait, what are you doing there? All right, yes guys. Even if we're out here on the off-road trail, I still have my medium-sized luggage right there because, well, most of you will be driving this thing towards the airport or to the mall. So yes, I still have to do my medium-sized luggage test in this car review. Now anyway, going back to the rear end of this Montero Sport, well, this rear end is pretty distinctive and you wouldn't confuse it for any other mid-size SUV out there. You see, the Montero Sport has this, well, this top-spec Montero Sport GT 4-wheel drive has this signature LED taillights and this teardrop design there. And another feature that you'd notice from the back is, well, how narrow this Montero Sport is. You see, the Monty is one of the narrower mid-size SUVs available in the market, and even if it does have the height, well, it doesn't really have the width that you'd expect from these burly and lumbering mid-size SUVs out there. Now, this top-spec Montero Sport GT 4-wheel drive also comes with a power liftgate, and this power liftgate also has a hands-free function, but you have to know where the sensors are and what sort of motion to use. You see, the sensors are found on the corners of the rear bumper, and you have to use an up and down kicking motion to open the liftgate like this. There you go. So now that we have this thing open, you'll see that we do have some space here at the back of the third row seats, although it's kind of on the small side and I don't think it will fit a medium-sized luggage, but I may as well show it to you guys. Nope, sorry, won't fit. So you could still put like a couple of overnighters or soft bags here and that won't be a problem, but a medium-sized luggage, yeah, you'll have to fold the third row seats in order to do that. Now, there are some reviewers out there who find it a bit of a challenge to fold down the third row seats of the Montero Sport, and there are some owners as well. But guys, this is not a one-step process, but rather this is more of a two-step process here, which I also just discovered during my lend out with this Montero Sport. You see, unlike other SUVs where you tug immediately on the straps found on the seat back, you don't do that with the Montero. Instead, you tug on the center straps first, like so. So you tug it, and then that's when you tug the sides, which now allows the seats to fold flat to the floor. Now, I know that this is a little bit more of a challenge than the one-touch or one-tug fold-down third row seats of the other mid-size SUVs out there, but this is still way better than some other mid-size SUVs that still fold their third row seats towards the sides of the vehicle. Hashtag shots fired. Anyway guys, now that we have the third row seats out and away, we can show you that you can fit around 3 medium-sized luggage side by side and a 4th one on top of it. Now, if you need more space than that, well, the second row seats could also tumble forward, thus expanding your total cargo space, which I don't really have in absolute liters, but at least I showed it to you in terms of medium-sized luggage. The Montero Sport gets the same diesel engine that can be found in the Mitsubishi Strada, which is a 2.4-liter 4-cylinder MyVec turbo diesel that puts out 179 horsepower and 430 Newton-meters of torque. However, this top-spec Montero Sport now gets a newer 8-speed automatic transmission sourced from Aisin. This newer 8-speed further improves on its fuel efficiency over the previous 5-speed Invex 2, but it doesn't sacrifice when it comes to overall acceleration performance. Now, when it comes to the fuel economy of this thing, well, it is pretty decent for a mid-size 4x4 SUV. In crawling bumper-to-bumper traffic where I was averaging a speed of only 14 kilometers per hour, I was still able to get 6.8 kilometers per liter. Now, when traffic finally opened up at an average speed of 20 kilometers per hour, I was able to get 9 kilometers per liter with this Montero Sport. On the highway with an average speed of 80 kilometers per hour, I was able to get 14 kilometers per liter. As I said, it's not bad for a mid-size SUV. Now, some of you might think that the Montero Sport is an older mid-size SUV, especially when you compare it to, let's say, the newer Fortuner or the MU-X. But take one look at this entire cockpit, guys, and you will change your mind, my friend. You see, the Montero Sport is way ahead of its time, and it already has most of the tech and safety features that can be found in these newer mid-size SUVs. Now, of course, this top-spec Montero Sport GT 4-wheel drive comes with leather seats, but both the driver and the front passenger gets power adjustments. Now, we also have a smallish, well, regular sunroof here, but at least we do get a sunroof versus the other top-spec mid-size SUVs out there. Now, the steering wheel is also naturally wrapped in leather, and we do have a plethora of buttons here for controlling your, well, hands-free connectivity, and we even have buttons for adaptive cruise control. You see, this top-spec Montero Sport GT 4-wheel drive comes with adaptive cruise control as well as a host of safety features and driver assist aids that you can now see on your screen. You see, the other mid-size SUVs had to go through an entirely new model change in order to incorporate all of these safety bits and driver assist features, but the Montero Sport, even if it's an older platform, already has all of these safety bits and goodies. Now, we do have a pair of paddle shifters behind the steering wheel, and of course, being a top-spec model, the steering wheel also adjusts for tilt and telescoping. Now, when you turn your attention over to the gauge cluster here, the top-spec Montero Sport GT 4-wheel drive gets this fully digital instrument gauge cluster here that changes in design and format depending on your mood. You can be all docile and tame and just keep it on the speedometer there, or you can switch it over to a full-blown center tachometer if you're feeling like you want to go out on a bit of a rally race. Now, when you move over to the infotainment system here, we have an 8-inch touchscreen infotainment system with Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, plus the image of a 360-degree view camera. Now, this 360-degree view camera image is not really the best out there, but it is decent and usable enough. It is particularly usable when you take this Montero Sport out on an off-road trail because, yes, that 360-degree view camera image acts as your blind spot spotter when you're out on a trail. Now, that's something that other newer mid-size SUVs out there, could take a page or two. Anyway, now, one weird thing here on the center stack is the fact that we have the power liftgate button found there in the center. I'm not really used to seeing that right there front and center because normally this is found on the left side of the driver, but yes, we have that right there in the middle. We also have a dual zone fully automatic climate control system here, and right below the shift knob, we also have the center control knob here for your four-wheel drive modes. Now we have 2 high, 4 high lock center differential, and 4 low lock center differential. As I mentioned, this Montero Sport GT is equipped with Mitsubishi's Super Select 4-wheel drive 2. Plus, it also has a rear locking differential, which you can operate with the touch of a button found here on the center stack. Now that makes this midsize SUV truly the most capable stock SUV when it comes to off-roading. Now we also have an electronic park brake with an auto hold feature right here beside this 4-wheel drive knob, and a couple of cup holders which I will subject to my clean canteen test. Now, as you can see, yep, there you go. It easily passes my clean canteen. And in case you're wondering, this is a 600 ml clean canteen, which is perfect for people who always go out on long drives like myself. Now, when you look at the cabin layout and the cockpit materials used here, well, we do get a bunch of hard plastics because, well, this is still an off-roading SUV. Top of the dashboard, hard plastic. Top of the door cards, hard plastic. Yeah, but the good thing here is Mitsubishi decided to outfit the high traffic areas like the elbow rest here on the door cards, the center armrest, and even the sides of the center stack with leather, softly padded leather material, which is a bit of good news, guys, because I don't know if you've noticed, but the cockpit of this Montero Sport is one of the tighter cockpits found in the midsize SUV category. It's a bit on the snug side, and even if I'm just a regular Asian build, as you can see, I feel a little bit snug here, like I'm inside the cockpit of a smaller vehicle than a midsize SUV. So yeah, definitely you will be scraping and touching a lot of these high traffic areas. So it's a good thing that Mitsubishi outfitted them with soft padding all throughout. When you get inside the second row seats of this Montero Sport, well, the space penalty is even clearer here at the back. See, being one of the narrower SUVs out there in the market, yeah, the back seat here is really on the snug side. You can still fit 3 average Asian adults here at the back, just like how you can fit a bunch of sardines inside a can. It's doable, but not really healthy. Now, another issue here, guys, is the headroom. You see, the Montero Sport is a pickup-based mid-size SUV. So yes, we are riding on a truck chassis. So yeah, the cab itself is a bit on the high side, but with the lower and sleeker roofline of the Montero Sport, yeah, at 5'6", I'm only getting around 3.5 inches of headroom here. As I said, it's not really stellar. Now, the knee room is not so bad because I still get around 6 inches of knee room here. And, well, of course, there's also the fact that this Montero Sport is even longer than even the new Toyota Fortuner. Now, the good thing here, though, guys, is we do get a bunch of amenities here. We get ceiling-mounted AC vents to keep you cool. We also have a couple of USB charge ports found here, and even a home socket for putting some like appliances and stuff. Plus, we have a center armrest that comes with a pair of cup holders. Now, the Montero Sport is one of the longer midsize SUVs in the category, and as such, well, the legroom here in the third row seats is not really a big issue. At 5'6", guys, I still get a good 3 inches of knee room here, and well, my headroom is around a couple of inches. As I said, it's not really a big issue, but the sitting position itself, it's not really the most ideal. You see, I don't know if you can see, but my knees are way, way higher than my hips, and it's almost as high as my chest level. So yeah, when you go on a long trip, here in the third row seats of the Montero Sport, it might get a little bit comfortable for you if you're 5'6" or taller. However, if you're shorter than I am or if you're a kid, then this would not be an issue at all. Now, the good thing though is, well, we do get a good amount of amenities still here at the third row seats. We got a couple of cup holders on the right side only. There are no cup holders on the left side. So yeah, if you're the passenger sitting here on the right side, you'll serve as the bartender for the person here on the left side. And we also have a couple of ceiling-mounted AC vents to keep you cool and comfortable as you can get in this tight back seat, this third row seat. Alright guys, so we are now driving the top-spec Montero Sport GT 4x4 and we are on an off-road trail. And well, first up, my first driving impression with this thing is, as I mentioned, it feels tight. It feels like it's on the snug side. Now, we do have a steeply raked back windshield here and we have a long and bulging hood right there in front of us. So you do know that you are piloting a larger vehicle, a midsize SUV. But just like any other typical Japanese vehicles out there, well, this Montero Sport has that snug and wraparound cockpit that's a wee bit on the tight side. You know, one of the advantages of being a narrow SUV is the fact that you can go through really tight trails like what we are traversing now. See, this is a pretty tight trail, guys. I don't even think this is meant for an SUV or a truck. But we are going through this. Oh God, I really hope that we can get out of this mess. Don't even know where we're going. Looks a little bit on the tight side. Yeah, but yeah, that's one of the advantages of being a narrow SUV. If you're one of the bulkier ones, the wider ones, you're gonna have a difficult time going through this forest trail that we are going through right now. Yep, but we can still negotiate this, we can go through this. Yep, very well, see? Now, the steering feel of this Montero Sport. Well, the Montero Sport still has a hydraulic rack and pinion power steering assembly. So yes, the steering feel is on the hefty side. It's on the manly side even. So yeah, it's a bit hefty. You're gonna need a little bit more muscle to steer this thing. And yeah, if you have strong arms, it's not gonna be an issue. But if you have weaker arms, well, yeah, this will give you a bit of a workout. Now, another good thing here is since we're going through this narrow off-road trail here, guys, we have a 360-degree view camera which is acting as my spotter as I go along on this narrow trail. So yes, the other mid-size SUVs out there, especially the top-spec ones that don't have a 360-degree view camera, yeah, you really should take a page from the Mitsubishi Montero Sport because, man, you really need a 360 cam to go through these narrow trails. Now, here's the thing, guys. The Montero Sport has off-roading rally genes in its blood. And the combination of a narrow SUV body, that all-terrain Toyo tires that we have on this thing, plus that center locking differential and that rear locking differential, tells you that this is one of the most capable off-roaders that you could really use. And that, my friends, is a good thing, especially since we're stuck in the jungle. I don't even know if we can fit here. Goodness. Now, the NVH of this thing, well, it's quiet and refined except for the diesel noise. Just like the Strada, the diesel noise can get inside the cabin, especially when you are driving this at full clip. However, when it comes to the environment noise, like the buses, the jeepneys, the tricycles, the motorbikes out there, it's quiet. It doesn't get inside the cabin. It's just that, yeah, the sound of the diesel engine makes you aware that you are driving a Japanese mid-size diesel SUV. Now, when it comes to the acceleration on paved roads, well, this Montero Sport GT 4x4 has a bit more heft and weight over, let's say, the Strada Athlete 4x4. As such, when you are accelerating, you can feel that weight, that heft. It doesn't accelerate as quickly and as nimbly off the line, but when it picks up speed, yes, it could deliver the goods. Although, yes, you could feel that weight in all aspects when you're taking this around a fast corner or you're accelerating on the highway, you're accelerating from standstill, you can feel it in all of these aspects. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing, guys. Primarily because, well, this is still a mid-size diesel SUV and it's meant to go on off-road trails or dirt roads like what we are going through now. Now, when it comes to its on-road suspension and handling and, well, the overall ride comfort, well, this thing it's not as refined as, let's say, a crossover. You cannot mistake this for a crossover. It is still, a pure-blooded, manly mid-size SUV, and yeah, it doesn't make any apologies for it. Now, the on-road manners, well, it can get a little bit jittery when you are driving it on uneven roads. You could feel that that pickup chassis underneath you. So yeah, it's not as refined as a crossover nor as a sedan. But when you take it out to rough and tumble roads, or you take it out on trails like this without any roads, well then, that sturdy pickup chassis becomes your friend. But yeah, on smooth asphalt paved roads, well, this Montero Sport is quite refined. It has a nice smooth ride. But yeah, just throw in a little bit of unevenness on a, let's say, a cement road, or if you go through EDSA, yes, you will feel that this is a pickup-based mid-size SUV. Overall, guys, well, this Montero Sport GT 4x4, it's a diesel mid-size SUV. It has truck underpinnings, it has that strong and sturdy suspension. It's not really refined on paved roads, on civilized streets. But yes, you don't buy these kinds of vehicles and expect it to be refined. You expect this to take on off-road trails like what we're going through now, go through these trails without breaking a sweat, while hauling your family and some of your stuff at the same time. The Montero Sport is one of the most impressive midsize SUVs available today, since it's fully loaded with features and it comes with the durability and performance that you'd expect from a Mitsubishi. Now, the recent price drop of over 150,000 Philippine pesos further sweetens its proposition. It's a top-spec 4x4 midsize SUV that is within reach of the middle class, but it doesn't compromise when it comes to features, safety, and performance. Now, if the smaller cabin dimensions doesn't really bother you too much, well then, this top-spec Montero Sport GT 4-wheel drive can be counted as a winner. Thanks for watching.